Nezumi, interesting company, founded 2011 in Sweden by David Campo, and he is some sort of aficionado for vintage cars with a racing connection, or just let's say fast vintage cars. And so very often you see on their watches a bit of racing car DNA, especially on their chronographs. And what also caught my attention is that they have a good use of colors, sometimes very flamboyant, sometimes more subtle, but always very, very clever. And now they've brought back one of their earliest watches, I understood, and this is the Tonnerre, which is French for thunder. So we're again in this racing genre. And they were so friendly to send me the lineup. It consists of 2 different watches we can check out in this video. Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and as said in this episode, Nezumi is our topic. 2 watches I have here for you to check out everything. And good news for people a bit on a budget, they are relatively affordable. Because these watches are powered by quartz, and normally I don't feature quartz watches here so much on the channel because I find them rather boring, to be honest. And they don't feel nice. Sometimes you have this feeling when you wind them, or you cannot wind them when you set the time, that you're stirring air and it feels flimsy and cheap. But they opted here for a meca quartz movement, and there is in fact a difference. Often people think meca quartz, normal quartz, this is all marketing, but I can assure you, you feel it. You feel it. The thing really is more substantial, is different, is more expensive, and I think fills the gap between cheap quartz and affordable, the first affordable mechanical movements. And so I'm a bit more tolerant when it comes to these watches with meca quartz, and I think from time to time we all enjoy when we have at least the opportunity to buy another watch at a reasonable and rather low price. Okay, and the other news is I've brought back my traveling wallet, but we can discuss that after the Lightbox review, which will take place now. And there we are. There we are with our 2 watches. I ordered both because I wanted to have the direct comparison here, and I took, in the first second, I took this one here to wear it over a longer time. Yeah, sheer taste, to be honest, sheer taste, but I found it just nicer, and we are here in dark February, March, and so I felt very comfortable with this piece here. But okay, let's go over the measurements first. We have a case diameter. These are similar watches, okay, so different dials. And so we have a case diameter for these watches of 38 millimeters. The length, the lug to lug, is 45.5, and height, including the crystal, is 12. Then we have a lug width of 20 millimeters. And the watches came with a sapphire crystal with coating inside, anti-reflective coating. Inside is a meca quartz movement by Seiko. This is the VK63 meca quartz. But the chronograph module here is mechanic, and so you have a bit of both worlds. And the price for these watches are 410 euros on leather, so this version here, and there you are at 442 US dollars. And for the metal bracelet you have to pay a bit more. Then you have this watch for 494 euros or 532 US dollars. A bit of a rough orientation because it depends a bit on taxes and import duties and stuff. And now let's begin here with the functions. We have a telemeter scale for the chronograph. Then we have here a 24-hour indicator. You have your seconds on position 6. And here is a 30-minute counter, all right? So this is a rough orientation here. And many elements are pretty conservative. If you see the form of the hands, you find this form of hand, this syringe hand, you find on watches from the 30s, really. So very, very well chosen for this classic look here. And also the other elements are pretty straightforward, pretty realistic when you see the genre of the watch. And so the main attraction here is of course the color, or the colors, because you have this beige together with this this warm blue. Yeah, there's something like a warm blue because it had some yellow in it, perhaps some green, and so very nice. Downside of the quartz, of course, as you see now, the ticking second hand there. We have to live with that, unfortunately. But yeah, there you go. And let's check the other dial. There you have a bit of a reverse panda with a dark blue bright blue and this beige color, which goes perfectly fine together, I think. So really only my taste that I prefer this. If you have a taste that demands for more impact, so to speak, then I think that's your watch here. And now let's go over the case. There you go. Not super special, with some brushing there. The typical form of these chronograph watches. You have a marked crown there, neutral pushers. There's the other side, also brushed bezel here. So pretty tooly thing overall, which fits the style of the watch, which fits the name of the watch. And you have a very sort of rockabilly-like case back, or perhaps it's only me that I connotate these fonts here a bit with rockabilly, but it's certainly fun to look at. Nezumi, Stockholm, creating bonds, established 2011. And yes, some information. Did I tell you the water resistance? It's 50 meters. 50 meters here. This is the original strap. Often I change to my own straps, but I was a bit tired of it. I don't want to tell you in every video how great my straps are. I think the number 1 and number 2 have proven their quality, and so I just let it there. Here you have this brown leather strap with this rudimentary stitching and quick adjustment spring bars, the clasp, and there you go. Let's change to the bracelet so that we examine a bit the quality of it. Fingerprints away. We have a Jubilee type bracelet. Bit basic, bit rattly, a bit basic, but we have to see the price for the watch. Then you cannot put it on a bracelet that alone costs hundreds of euros, right? And so I personally like it because it remembers me a bit of that feeling you have from vintage Rolex Datejust with the Jubilee, and so it's not really a problem. But when you want your super tight and high-end bracelet, I think then you could be a bit disappointed with that. And it has security clasp, and there's the clasp. Everything works fine. So my only a bit of criticism is that it's a bit wobbly. It's a bit wobbly, but I see the reason for that. And the look, of course, is very nice. The look is very nice. So the genre is here that you have this type of watch together with this type of bracelet, which is not mandatory, but it looks pretty good. But I have to say I'm a big fan of Jubilee bracelets. Really big fan of these things. And now let's check out the functionality. Of course, we cannot wind anything here because of the quartz movement. All we can do is to set the time. And this feels good for a quartz movement. Often you have this, what I don't like so much is that you have so much play here between crown and hands and here, or that you have no resistance whatsoever, that you just have the feeling you're stirring air. But here you have a bit of resistance, feels upright creamy. And so this, yeah, I clearly feel the difference between this thing and a cheap quartz movement. Absolutely. Same applies to the chronograph. There you hear the usual cluck, and you feel some resistance because again this is a sort of a module on top of the quartz movement. So the quartz only powers that mechanical part here. And there you go. And this looks pretty normal. This looks pretty normal. And you can stop it with that first pusher, and the reset button is this one. Also feels nice, and you hear some mechanism inside going cling. And so this is really okay. This is really okay, the feeling. The ticking quartz is a bit, maybe you get used to it, but it's not my favorite side, to be honest. Okay, let's put this one, the leather thing, on the wrist, or let's put both on the wrist. 38 millimeters on my 17 centimeter wrist. You see on the bigger side, the data sheet tells you that the height is 12 millimeters, which is not super high, but it's rather boxy. It's a rather boxy case, and so you have some presence on the wrist. For me, not perfect, but when you have a bigger wrist, it might be perfect because you have really something on the wrist and something with impact, really. And so you might like that. And of course, nice contrast with the strap here. And here you have it on the Jubilee bracelet. Also very nice look. very interesting. And note, by the way, I forget to mention that this is entirely brushed. Often you have these high polished links in the middle, and the rest is brushed, but this is entirely brushed bracelet with underlines, of course, the Thule character. And you have a bit of a rattling Jubilee sound. Very nice. Some people will hate me for that, but I, I really enjoy that. Welcome back, and now availability, very simple. You can buy the watch right now. They also offered a limited edition with a bit pink on the dial, and for me, I don't know, wasn't so for me, but I think it's sold out anyway. What's not sold out is my new traveling wallet, and I offered this wallet on casebackwatches.com some years ago with push buttons, large format like this, and now I think I enhanced it quite a bit because I realized these things are great for traveling purposes because you can store passports, cards, cash, vouchers, everything in it, and your boarding cards and everything, so really not a problem. And the first version had 2 compartments for cards and 2 push buttons, and then I realized you don't need that because it stays like this and you don't let your traveling wallet lay around somewhere, you just put it in your pocket. And the good thing, this seems to be large because it has to store passports, but it's optimized for the normal mail jacket so that you can put it in there and it stays there safely. So a very, very nice product, which I offer now on casebackwatches.com, high-end build. And this is the prototype I use now every day just for fun. I mean, traveling wallet sounds so much better than normal big wallet, but I use this day to day because the organization here is so nice. You can put your credit cards here, passports there, and so on. So very, very cool thing. And I said this is the prototype, and this is the sale version, a bit brighter, because I realized this is a bit too dark and this is a bit more reddish and so nice. And of course, this was meticulously planned. No. Sometimes you have one height. This swallows more, more dye, so to speak, more pigments. And this is another one. And this turned out then with this reddish tone. And you can correct that or you can alter it with another layer of dye. But I realized that this is a bloody good color here. And so I left it there. So traveling wallet for cards, passports, and everything you need during your life now at casebackwatches.com. Not cheap. We're talking here about 189 euros, but it's worth it. You buy this one time in your life, will outlast us, definitely. You can see high-res images, of course, on casebackwatches.com. There it is available right now. Okay, and that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.